In 1945, on Christmas night, an event took place in West Virginia, USA, that still sends chills down the spine when remembered. George Soder, a well-known person, was celebrating Christmas with his wife, Jenny Soder, and their 10 lovely children. Every face was glowing with happiness. But who knew that this night would turn into a terrible nightmare, a nightmare that remains an unsolved mystery to this day. It happened around 1 a.m. when a fire suddenly broke out in their house. George and Jenny, along with 4 of their children, ran out of the house. But the 5 children who were asleep in the upstairs room disappeared forever. No bones were found, and no trace of them remained. Did they really burn in the fire, or were they kidnapped? Was this fire really an accident, or was it planned? George Soder was an Italian immigrant who had fled Italy because he was strongly against the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. He was a hard-working man who ran a trucking business in the U.S., and fortunately, he had his own house. His wife, Jenny, was a dedicated housewife who lovingly managed the children with discipline. On December 24, 1945, the Soder children were playing with their new toys. As night fell, the 5 children went to bed in the upstairs room. Around 1 a.m., Jenny smelled smoke in the house. When she went to check, she found that the kitchen was on fire. George and Jenny rushed out with their 4 children, but the 5 children in the upstairs room remained inside. George tried everything he could to rescue them. When he ran to the second-floor window, he saw that the ladder was missing. He thought about using the coal truck to reach the window, but when he tried to start it, the truck wouldn't start, and the second truck was also not working. The people nearby tried to call the fire department, but unfortunately, there was no response. After a while, when they finally got in touch with the fire chief, the fire brigade arrived hours later. It seemed that a fire had started in the house, and the 5 children had burned to death. However, the case, which seemed normal at first, became much more complicated. The next morning, when the investigation began, officials made statements and closed the case, claiming that the children had died in the fire. But this didn't make sense to anyone, as human bones cannot turn to ashes even at temperatures of 800 degrees Celsius, especially the parts containing calcium, like teeth. The bones of the Soder children were never found. The forensic investigation confirmed that the fire wasn't hot enough or long enough to reduce the bones to ashes. This was very concerning, so the Soder family rejected the investigation's report. The investigation team had suggested that the fire was caused by a short circuit, but George Soder was sure that he had recently had all the wiring replaced, and there was no chance of any fault in it. As George recalled the moments of the incident, he remembered some details that indicated something was wrong. When he tried to call the fire department, the phone line had been cut. This was confirmed by the investigation, which revealed that the phone line had been cut from the outside. A clean cut was visible, unlike the jagged break caused by a normal phone line failure. Later, Jenny Soder recalled that just before midnight, the phone rang, and a woman on the other end was laughing loudly. Jenny had hung up thinking it was a wrong number. If the phone line had been cut at 1 a.m., and there had been a strange call just half an hour earlier, it meant the phone line had been cut well before the fire started. This night was filled with strange occurrences. Before the fire, Jenny also heard something fall on the roof. When she didn't hear anything more, she went back to bed, and shortly after she smelled smoke. Additionally, the ladder, which was always kept in place by George, was missing from its usual spot and was later found in a field far away from the house. George's trucks, which had been working perfectly a day before the fire, were both suddenly out of order during the fire. All these strange events led George Soder to believe that his children were not dead, but had been kidnapped. But how could someone have taken them in all the commotion? A few months before the fire, George Soder had been approached by an insurance agent who insisted that he take out a fire insurance policy. When George refused, the agent threatened him, saying that he would regret it when his house caught fire. Did someone use the fire to distract people and then kidnap the children? Another theory was that George's outspoken anti-Mussolini views had angered the Italian mafia, and they had targeted him. According to this theory, the mafia had taken his children. Some people claimed to have seen the Soder children in different places after the fire. A woman said she saw the children in a hotel with a strange couple, while other reports claimed that one of the children was seen being taken away. A year after the fire, new evidence came to light. The investigation team, which had originally blamed the fire on a short circuit, was proven wrong. New investigations revealed that the fire had been deliberately set. A bus driver passing by at the time claimed he had seen people throwing something that looked like a fireball. Months later, when the snow melted, a rubber-like object, known as a pineapple bomb, was found near the house. Jenny remembered the sound she had heard just before the fire, which might have been caused by the pineapple bomb. George and Jenny dedicated their lives to finding the answer to this mystery. They left no stone unturned and followed every possible lead. They even put up a large billboard with pictures of their missing children and a reward offer. After nearly 20 years, in 1960, Jenny received a letter containing a photograph of a man who looked very much like their son, Louis. The letter simply said, "Louis Soder, I love Brother Frankie." Was this letter really written by one of the missing children, or was it a prank? George and Jenny hired a private detective to investigate the letter, but Louis Soder was never found. Years passed, and this mystery remained unsolved. George Soder passed away in 1969, but Jenny and their surviving children continued to search for answers. After George's death, Jenny never left the family home. She had a fence built around it and new rooms added. In the remaining years of her life, she always wore black clothes due to her grief. After Jenny's death in 1989, the family took down the old, worn-out billboard they had used to search for their missing children. Were the children victims of a tragedy, or were they part of a larger conspiracy? This remains a secret that may never be solved. We hope you liked this video from Unsolved Universe. See you in the next amazing video.